What's up, everyone? Coach Lucas here. Today, I want to talk to you about a conversation I had with a player who wanted to learn how to dominate in high pressure situations. Okay. They wanted to learn how to dominate in high pressure situations. And this is a really interesting topic because it's the conversation that I had with this player is really interesting. And then also the tools and strategies that came out of this to help players like you who are listening to use these and implement them so you can dominate high pressure situations. It's a conversation that I'm really excited about and I'm excited to share with you. So, first of all, let's talk about this player, and then second of all, we'll talk about you and how you can take some of these tools and strategies and implement them into your game so that you can handle high pressure situations and dominate in those types of matches in those types of environments. So the first thing here is when I talk to this player, the first thing I ask is like, well, what's stopping you from dominating a high pressure situations? And the answer was self-belief, self-confidence, self-belief, and ability to take risks, scared to take risks. Okay, so lack of confidence, lack of self belief, and inability to take risks. Okay, so let's sort that out. Let's break that down. Why? What are you struggling with? Why? And then the conversation here. Why are you struggling in these areas? What's stopping you? Well, I have this doubt about myself. Okay, why is that happening? Well, I'm a perfectionist. Aha, I see where this is going. What do you mean by that? Well, I'm a perfectionist. When I make mistakes, I get really upset. I want to make things perfect. When things don't go my way, I get emotional, and this this makes me nervous. These types of behaviors make me nervous when going into big matches because I know in big matches these types of things tend to happen. Perfect. So how do we solve that? The next question is, why are you perfectionist? Right? Why are you a perfectionist? And I asked her this question. I go, have your parents taught you to be a good athlete? Like, have your parents taught you how to be a good person? Do they show examples of what it means to hold high standards and to excel in certain areas? And the answer is yeah. So the concept here is like, okay, well, the parents, let's say, are high performing and they're modeling or showing their athlete, their player, their child how to do the same thing. Okay. So then I ask the question, so do you have siblings? Do you have older siblings? The answer is yes. Have they achieved some great things? The answer was yes. So now we have parents that are showing good examples of what it means to excel and achieve. And then you have siblings that are also showing what it means to excel and achieve. And now you want to learn how to do the same thing, but perhaps you're feeling as if you need to do the things that they did, the siblings and the parents. And the answer is yes. So players in these types of situations that consider themselves perfectionists are often looking at the people closest to them who are setting the bar and setting the standards, and they are feeling, well, if I don't do the same thing, I'm not going to be welcomed into this group. I'm not going to fit in with this group. I'm going to be looked at differently from this group. They may not be thinking about that, but subconsciously, that's kind of what's going on here. So they want to fit in. They want to do well to fit in with the people around them that have also done well. And that, for a perfectionist, can get very overwhelming. When they start seeing that, they imagine as if this whole, because look, the people who achieve greatness, they're going to say how difficult it was. They're going to say how they had to go through so much adversity and they had to grind and to fight for what they achieved. And for you, you're like, holy crap, that's a mountain of achievement that now I feel the pressure that I have to climb, and I'm hearing about how difficult it is. This is getting overwhelming, and you start to make a bigger deal about things than you actually need to do. And so those are the types of feelings and emotions that often go on with perfectionist type players. And to solve these problems, here's where the tools and strategies come in. To solve these problems, bang, we need to start focusing on your unique path. We can't be comparing to brother and sister. We can't be comparing to mom and dad. We have to focus on number one, what do you love to do, whether it's soccer or school or another sport? What do you love? Are you passionate about? And then what goals come from that? What would you like to achieve in that regard? What would you like to achieve in that arena? That's your path. That's your focal point. That's your target. In addition to that, players in these types of situations need to have what's called a self-assessment tool. And this self-assessment tool is a way for players to identify how they're doing. It's a way for players to identify their own strengths and their own weaknesses, the things that they're good at, and also their flaws. And so when a player can self-assess and say, aha, here's my flaw, aha, here's my flaw, whether it's on the pitch or off the pitch, your habits, what you're eating, how you're sleeping, your day-to-day activities, your relationships, where can there be most improvement? Where are your weakest links, and what do we need to focus on in order to get you closer to your goal? Bang. So we have individual targets and individual goal setting. That's for your unique path. And now we have a mechanism, a way for you to assess and look at your progress, a way to score yourself on how you're doing in a number of criteria in a specific area so that you can self-assess and look at those strengths and weaknesses. So now we have our goals, and now we have basically a measuring stick, a tool to measure how we are doing currently. And if we have those two things, we have a ending point and we have a starting point. And when you have those two things, now you can rely on those two things to follow your own individual path. And when you do that, the comparisons go away. You now no longer have to beat yourself up all the time, because perfectionists tend to do that. They tend to beat themselves up all the time. And now that we have this self-assessment tool, which can be, let's say, compartmentalized or set aside for only one day a week, you don't have to beat yourself up all week long. You can wait till the end of the week and do your self-assessment, do your reflection and your criticism at that point. Bang, now you have a system to constantly improve and get better and better and better and better. So this for perfectionists, this for players that want to dominate in high pressure situations. These are the gears underneath it all that are really important to have in order to be able to play in big matches like this. So we have those two things. Now, secondly, what are some key strategies that you can use going into a big match? Okay, so the first thing is you have to understand how your emotions work, how your thoughts work, and how your behaviors work, okay? And so if you don't know this, your thoughts affect your emotions, and your emotions affect your behaviors, okay? So let's think about this. The thoughts that you put in your brain, whether you're putting them in your brain, or if other people are putting them in your brain, or the environment is putting them in your brain, however your thoughts are being created, they get there, and all of a sudden those thoughts are now kind of starting to get you to feel a certain way. And a good example of this is that if you're thinking about war or battles or fighting or death, and you're thinking about negative things, your emotions are going to start to align with those thoughts, and your emotions are now being influenced by those thoughts. But if you're thinking happy, happy, joy, joy, birthday cakes, balloons, family time, whatever it is that's fun and exciting, your emotions are now going to shift to fun and exciting. So your thoughts are affecting the way that you're feeling. And the way that you're feeling, I ask players this all the time. I say, have you ever felt kind of crappy? And then you had a crappy game? They all raise their hand. And then I ask them, have you ever felt great? And then you played great? They all raise their hand. So emotions are going to dictate how you behave in your actions and the intent that you put in your actions. Your emotions then get, let's say, transmitted into your behaviors. Bang. So now we know that thoughts affect emotions, emotion affects behavior. So it all starts with the thoughts that you're putting in. And you can control what thoughts you're putting in. You can control the inputs so that you can control the outputs. So when it comes to preparing for big time matches, when it comes to preparing for big time games, you need to be putting intentional thoughts in. You should think about some key things that you want to be thinking about in those moments. What do you want to be thinking about in those moments? Well, you want to be confident. You want to know that you're a strong competitive player. You want to know that you are going to take over the game if it comes down to it. You want to know that you're a team player. You're going to help your teammates no matter what. So you want to write out these things into sentences or phrases. And then prior to the game, you want to remind yourself of that. And so you want to repeat those things and you want to read those sentences, read those phrases, and start to think about those scenarios where you're executing on those things, right? So now you're implementing those thoughts, and those thoughts are going to dictate how you feel, and those feelings are going to transmit into behaviors and actions, okay? So we call this positive affirmations. There's other exercises you can do, and another exercise that I often talk about is the alter ego exercise, where you're choosing a character, you're choosing a character or someone that you want to be, and you're thinking, what would this person do in those moments? And those thoughts, again, are going to dictate your feelings. Those feelings are going to dictate the way that you act and behave. And you also have to change your body language, change the way that you're in those moments, whether it's warm-ups or in the locker room. Change your body language to reflect those types of thoughts and that type of behavior that you're thinking about. And if you're doing those two things, you're going to put yourself into a state where you're going to be able to handle high pressure situations. The other note that I want to mention to you is you should never, ever, ever, ever go into these situations with the intention of impressing anybody. I see players that go into championship matches or showcases or tryouts or ID camps, and they go into these situations and they're trying to impress the coach. They're trying to impress parents, or they're trying to impress the fans that are watching. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you make it your objective to impress somebody who's watching, you're no longer playing the game. You're no longer competing the way that you're supposed to. So your focal point needs to be 100% focused on winning. Your focal point should be 100% focused on competing and helping your teammates and doing everything you need to do to be the best competitor that you can be, and helping your teammates in the efforts to win the match. And if your focus is there, bang, the byproduct of that is going to be character, strength, courage, boldness, bravery, all the things that from the stands, the people that are watching are going to go, wow, look at that person compete. Okay, so we don't attack it directly, when it comes to impressing coaches or teammates. We want to focus on competing. We want to focus on winning and making sure we're fit to win, and making sure we're helping our teammates and communicating with our teammates and being in the battle, right? Being in the trenches, being in the battle 100%. And if you're in the trenches, if you're in the battle 100%, everything else will take care of itself. So when it comes to high pressure situations, when it comes to be a perfectionist, these are the types of things that you need to be thinking about. I hope you found value in this. I hope you found this to be useful for you. If you have questions, leave them in the comments or reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. Coach Lucas here, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.